Welcome into the SEMO Sports Edition of Hawks Nest. We have a lot to get into today. Baseball's on the road at Belmont. Softball's wrapping up the home portion of their schedule this weekend. I'm Clay Harrell, joined by Leon Miller. And Leon, baseball on the road at Belmont. When you look at this series, it's a pretty big series because the next weekend they go to Morehead State, who's currently number 1 in the OVC. SEMO sitting at number 2. Just how important is this series going to be for SEMO?
Well, it's very important. You want to stay consistent and hot throughout the OVC. They've been picking up big wins as of lately. They've been hitting very well. You have Tyler Weiber, who's been hitting excellently. Lincoln Andrews has been hitting excellently. The pitching has been very consistent throughout the season. Being second in the OVC actually means something right now. Taking this series against Belmont, who's kind of an even kill team. They're okay. They're not too good, too bad. Winning this series, will elevate SEMO to another level, and they'll have that confidence going into the next series.
When you look at maybe one person to look out for, either on the offensive side of this thing or the defensive side, is there somebody that sticks out to you that's going to be an X factor in this series?
I think, like I said, I think it'll be either Tyler or Lincoln Andrews. It's going to be from one of those power hitter positions. Maybe Dylan Dodd at the pitcher position. Dylan Dodd is very, very consistent pitcher, very strong, and if he pitches well in that series, we're going to pick up a few wins.
Yeah, I say Dodd's 4-1 with a 3.2 ERA, and I think just having that guy that can kind of anchor your staff and get you a win at the start of a series, I think is something that maybe is taken for granted a bit. You have a guy that at the start of the series, starts you out with, if you want to just win a series. Now, if you got a guy like Dodd that goes out and gets you a win, now you're like, okay, we have 2 games left to just get one more win to take this series. And I think you're at that point in the year now with tournament play kind of rolling in and you're just hanging at number 2. I think you're like a game and a half, 2 games out behind Morehead State. You win this series, maybe Morehead drops a game or 2 this weekend. It sets up a pretty exciting series, I think, next weekend too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you just want to be consistent and hang around because you never know how the standards are going to play out, especially within the OVC. Everybody's they're kind of close because they're second seed, but you want to keep that pressure on.
Yeah, and earlier you mentioned just the way they won on Wednesday. They beat Austin Peay 16-3, and you get some games like that, man, I think you're doing all right, especially against an OVC opponent.
Absolutely. Yeah, you did it in 7 innings. You can get the rest up a little bit for the next series. The next few games to prepare a little more. So, definitely SEMO is going to do great.
So a big series for baseball this weekend. Softball also has a big series this weekend. Let's go ahead and kick it over to Ashley Ellis, who's with some members of the SEMO softball team.
I'm Ashley Ellis, and I'm here with my fellow senior teammates, Austin Pauly, Danina Martin, and Rachel Anderson. What does this senior weekend mean for you guys?
I think that this weekend is going to be like a bittersweet weekend just because we haven't played for about 2 weeks, and so we're ready to get out there, but it's also our last home series as seniors, so...
I think it's kind of a good homecoming moment. I know a lot of our families are coming to celebrate this special day with us, and it's kind of heartbreaking because this is the final chapter, and it's the final chapter for us, but at the same time, it's just a new chapter opening with the end of our season coming up and going on to conference.
Like Austin said, I think it's really bittersweet just to play in front of our fans just like one last time. This atmosphere here is just so much fun, and it's really nice to be home.
Originally, we wouldn't usually have the 1.5 to 2 weeks off. In my mind, I kind of see that maybe as a positive. Like, we kind of got a break, we got to recoup, let our bodies feel better again. What do you guys think about that?
I think that we're all excited just to get out here again, so I feel like that whole time we've just been like amping up, kind of. So it's like when we get out there, we're gonna have all the energy and everything we need, all the rest and recovery time that we needed to get out there and bring it all on.
I definitely think it is a positive because one thing that we each feed off of is the high energy that we have in the dugout and out on the field, and that's definitely what drives most of our game. Well, that's all I have. That's the inside scoop of SEMO softball. Back to you, Clay. Bye, Clay.
Thank you, Ashley, for that, and good luck this weekend. But Leon, a series now against Murray State at home. You just had a series against Tennessee State canceled, won't be made up. Doubleheader versus UT Martin postponed, will be made up. Your winning percentage at this point has kind of been the big talk. It's been affected after dropping to number 2 in the OVC. How important is it now to not only win these series, but you almost feel like you maybe have to sweep a series or 2 to close out this year?
Yeah, it's important to win the series first and foremost because, like you said, they had a few cancellations and postponed games that they have to remake up. So that affects the winning and that affects momentum because, you don't get to actually get the reps in, an actual real game, playing. So, and they dropped the last 2 games in the last series that they did play. Granted, they played the number one, I believe, the number one ranked seed in the OVC, I believe. So, it wasn't an easy series, but winning this series, you have to pick it up, as the season is coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, that was that series against Eastern Kentucky. And then when you just said that, it kind of makes you think, like, it's been a while since they've played, too.
Yeah.
So maybe it is hard to kind of get back and get things rolling because you haven't been on the field. I mean, you practiced, obviously, and, you compete against each other. But, the saying is just nothing. Once you get into the actual game, it's a lot different, and it's harder to compete against your teammates.
Yeah.
And I think if you're SEMO, you have to be careful to not let that get the best of you, not let the rust, show. Because if you let that kind of become a factor, then you maybe drop even farther in the standings. Then you're kind of looking at it like, going into tournament time.
And you go in a position that you have to play catch up in, in a position that you didn't have to allow yourself to be in because SEMO is probably the best team in the OVC. So if they, like I said, they have to just keep up the consistent playing, play like they've played before the postpones and the cancellations, get back into the groove of things, and they'll be all right.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to with tournament time right around the corner.
Yeah.
But that's all we have for now for the SEMO Sports edition of Hawks Nest. For Leon Miller, I'm Clay Harrell, and we say have a great weekend.